This is the bizarre story of 19th century lawyer who inadvertently shot himself while proving a defendant innocent in a murder trial. Clement Vallandigham was born in New Lisbon, Ohio on July 29, 1820 to Clement and Rebecca Vallandigham. His father, a Presbyterian clergyman, homeschooled his son. Vallandigham had a disagreement with the president of Jefferson College in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania in 1841. He was dismissed with honor, although he never obtained a degree. Before the Civil War, Vallandigham was a good friend with Edwin M. Stanton, the future Secretary of War under President Lincoln. Stanton gave Vallandigham $500 to help him pay for a legal study and to start his own practice. Both Vallandigham and Stanton were Democrats, but their opinion on slavery were diametrically opposed. Stanton was an abolitionist, while Vallandigham was an opponent of abolition. In the United States House of Representatives, he represented Ohio's 3rd Congressional District for 2 terms. In 1863, he was sentenced to exile in the Confederate States of America after being convicted by an army court-martial for publicly opposing the war. He stood for governor of Ohio from exile in Canada in 1863 but was defeated. Vallandigham died in Lebanon, Ohio in 1871 after accidentally shooting himself in the abdomen with a gun while representing a defendant in a murder case for killing a man in Hamilton barroom brawl. The story of the strange tragedy started with Clement Vallandigham murmured, "I've mistakenly shot myself," dropping into a chair in his hotel room in pain and humiliation. The disaster that ended the former congressman's career occurred in Lebanon, Warren County, Ohio in 1871. Midway through the case, he felt would be the most important of his life. A man's life was on the line. The previous Christmas Eve, a tough and shady character named Thomas Myers was playing cards in a private room above a bar in neighboring Hamilton when a 5 thugs came in and a massive brawl erupted. A muffled shot was heard as Myers rose, scrambling to remove his revolver from his pocket. He drew the gun, fired a couple of errant rounds, and then collapsed back down as he lay dead. It wasn't apparent what was going on in the midst of the chaos, as gamblers ran in all directions. When the witnesses later told their stories, one name kept coming up: Myers' nemesis, Thomas McGahan. Nobody knew for sure if he was armed that night, but he was definitely part of the gang of the gatecrashers. Everyone knew that the two had a history of feuding. The jury assembled on Hamilton Street's corners, store counters and saloon bar were certain they had found their murderers. So, the case went to trial. After the prosecution closing arguments, Mr. Vallandigham took a piece of muslin from his hotel and headed out to the open land to do his own CSI Ohio experiment to determine the levels of residue left by a shot fired at a point-blank range. He drew a gun from his pocket, slowly drew it, turned the muzzle on himself, and pulled the trigger. Bang! The unlucky advocate has established the logic of his theory, but at the expense of his life. However, the dark farce has yet to be performed. Hardly had he been buried when another guy committed suicide while attempting to demonstrate how Mr. Vallandigham had met his demise. Surgeons searched for the pistol ball, which was assumed to be lodged near Vallandigham's bladders, but were unable to find it, and Vallandigham died the next day of peritonitis. His final words reflect his belief in the good old Presbyterian doctrine in predestination. He is survived by his wife Louisa Anna Vallandigham and his son Charles Vallandigham. He was buried in Woodland Cemetery in Dayton, Ohio. So, what happened to McGahan? He was acquitted and only to be shot himself a few years later in Hamilton. That's all for today's videos. Thank you for watching and please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more interesting informative videos.